Step out of the vehicle you are driving. Greater than this is my car, officer. Greater than whose name is on it. Greater than mine. The registration is in the glove box. Greater than did I say you could move. Nice ride for somebody in pajamas. Greater than they are scrubs. I work at St. Bart's. My badge is right here. Greater than could be anybody's. Greater than babe, what do we have? Greater than stolen plate hit. She has a story. Greater than they all have a story. Please just open the glove box. Greater than out now. Greater than those are mine. Greater than hands on the hood. Greater than sir, my registration is 18 in from your hand. Greater than save it for the judge, sweetheart. Have you ever handed someone the truth and watched them decide it was easier not to look? Wanda Stalworth said the same 5 words 4 times that morning and every one of them landed on a body camera in 9 days. A packed council chamber hears all 41 minutes of it out loud. Comment where you are watching from. Drop a like and let us rewind. Wanda Stalworth had worked nights in respiratory care at St. Bartholomew Regional for 4 years, which meant she knew the city the way only night people know it. Empty and blue and honest. That Tuesday, her shift ran 14 hours because a man in bed 9 kept dropping his oxygen saturation every time he fell asleep. And she would not leave him for the day crew until his numbers held for an hour straight. They held at 5:30 in the morning. She signed off, said goodbye to Gwen Sturdivant at the desk, and walked out into a parking deck that smelled like rain. The car was a silver sedan, 4 years old, bought with her own credit at a dealership on Cutter Street. She had the payment book. She had made every payment. She was proud of it in the specific quiet way. You are proud of a thing nobody helped you get. She stopped for gas at the station on Cutter because the tank was near empty and because she wanted coffee. Patrol Unit 12 was parked at the far end of the pump island with its engine running. She did not look at it. Most people do not. She went inside, paid, came out, and pulled onto Hazelton Road heading north toward her mother's house because it was her mother's birthday, and there were going to be pancakes. Patrol Unit 12 pulled out behind her. It followed her for 4 blocks with the light bar dark. She noticed at the second block the way women who drive alone at dawn notice things. And she did what her father taught her when she was 16 years old. And holding her first set of car keys, she put both hands high on the wheel. She turned the radio off. She slowed to 5 under. At the corner of Hazelton and Old Mill, the lights came on. Wanda signaled, pulled onto the shoulder, put the car in park, and rolled her window all the way down before he ever reached her. She had her license out. She was reaching for nothing else. She was also at that exact moment doing the second thing her father taught her, the harder one, and she would keep doing it for the next 9 days without a single crack in it. Officer Clint Kilmer came up on the driver's side with his flashlight already out, though the sky was going gray, and he did not need it. He put the beam on her face anyway and held it there 4 seconds longer than anyone needs to see a face. License. She handed it up. He looked at the photograph. He looked at her. He did not scan it. And the little handheld scanner was clipped to his vest the whole time. This your address? Yes, sir. That is a nice part of town. She did not answer that because there was no answer to it that would have helped her. 12 minutes earlier at the pump island on Cutter Street. Kilmer had typed her plate into the terminal mounted between the seats. He typed it wrong. Her plate ended in 8R. He entered R8, 2 characters, 1 keystroke. The kind of mistake a tired man makes at the end of a night tour and fixes in 9 seconds by hitting the query. Again, the system came back with a stolen vehicle out of a state 400 meters away. A gray Nissan, not a silver, different make, different model, different year, different color. He never hit the query again. Not once, not in the next 41 minutes, not at the impound lot, not at the station. There is a log of every keystroke a patrol terminal makes. And the log shows exactly 1 query on that tour at 553:41 and then nothing. Whose name is the registration in? Mine. It is in the glove box. That was the first time. Did I ask you where it was? No, sir. I am telling you so you know I have it. I know what you have. There is a thing that happens inside a person in that moment. And it is not fear exactly. It is arithmetic. Wanda ran it fast. The way she ran numbers at a bedside. She had a name she could say. She had 4 syllables in her mouth that would have ended this in under a minute. And she knew it. And she could feel them sitting there like a pill she had decided not to swallow. She was 16 the first time she was told not to say them. She had been holding her first set of keys, standing in a driveway, and a very large man had crouched down so his eyes were level with hers and made her repeat it back twice. She did not say them on Hazelton Road. She would not say them for 9 days. Nobody watching would understand why until much later. And when they did understand, it broke a room full of grown people. He walked the length of the car and rapped the tail light twice with his knuckle. Wanda watched him in the side mirror without moving her head. Her heart was going, but her hands stayed at 10 and 2 because a man told her once that hands are the whole argument. Nice ride for somebody in pajamas. They are scrubs. I work at St. Bartholomew. My badge is right here. She turned the lanyard so the photograph faced him. Her name was printed on it. Her department was printed on it. Her photograph was on it. And it was clearly her. He flipped it back over with one finger. Could be anybody's. Here is what the body camera shows at that moment. And the whole city would eventually see it. Her badge is in the frame. It is in focus. It is 4 in from his hand for 11 straight seconds. He never turns it over again. The second unit came in nose to nose, so the 2 light bars boxed her car between them. Officer K. Prime got out, adjusting her cap. And she was beautiful in the practiced way of a woman who has always been the prettiest person in every room she has entered since she was 15. Babe, what do we have? Stolen plate hit. She has a story. They all have a story. Prime leaned a hip against the fender and looked down at her through the open window, arms folded, unhurried. The way you look at a thing that has already been decided. Ma'am, please open the glove box. My registration and my insurance card are both in it. Right on top. That was the second time. You do not touch anything in that vehicle. Kilmer said, not her car. The vehicle ladder. A woman with a transcript and a highlighter would count it in 41 minutes. He said the vehicle 22 times and the stolen vehicle 9 times. And he said your car exactly 0 times. Not once. Not by accident. A man can decide a thing so completely that it changes his grammar. Sir, if you would just look, all of this ends out of the vehicle. She unbuckled. She kept her hands where he could see them. She stepped out into 40 degrees in short sleeves. And the rain that had stopped an hour ago was still hanging in the air the way it does in April. He took the keys out of her hand. He did not ask for them. He took them, and then he dropped them into his own trouser pocket and patted the pocket flat. Those are mine. Hands on the hood. She put her palms down on the wet metal of a car she had made 36 payments on. And Clint Kilmer put handcuffs on her wrists in front of 2 lanes of morning traffic on Hazelton Road while people slowed down to see. The cuffs were too tight. She said so once quietly and he did not double lock them. And by the end of the morning she had 2 purple bands around her wrists that a nurse would photograph 4 days later. Sir, my registration is 18 in from your hand. That was the 3rd time. Save it for the judge. Sweetheart Prime took a photograph of her bent over the hood with her wrists behind her. For the report, she said, and she said it in a bright, friendly voice. And then she looked at Kilmer, and something passed between them that the body camera microphone caught as a short exhale of laughter. They emptied her purse onto the trunk lid, lip balm, a pack of gum, her wallet, a photograph of her parents at a barbecue curled at the corner from being carried. Prime picked that one up, looked at it, and put it back down without saying anything. And that was the closest thing to a human moment either of them had. Then they put Wanda on the curb. That is a specific decision. There was a back seat available in each of 2 cars. They sat her down on a wet concrete curb in Scrubs in April, cuffed in front of a bus stop for 19 minutes while traffic went by and the light bars turned everything red and blue across her face. Her teeth started going. She clamped her jaw so nobody would see it. Officer, I would like a supervisor out here, please. She said it the way she would say it to a doctor about to make a mistake, politely with no edge on it, because the edge is what people hear instead of the sentence. You do not get to call people. I am allowed to request a supervisor. You are allowed to sit there. Prine laughed at that once. A small bright sound and then covered it with a cough. It is on the recording. Later, a councilwoman would ask her to explain what was funny and she would sit in front of a microphone and say in a very small voice that she did not know and that she had thought about it every day since. Wanda asked twice more. The request never went out over the radio. There is no supervisor request logged on that tour because there was never a supervisor request made because Clint Kilmer never keyed his microphone. A bread truck pulled into the lot behind the bus stop. The driver was a white kid named Kellen Stovall, 24, who delivered to the diner on the corner every morning of his life. He got out, saw a woman in hospital scrubs sitting cuffed on a curb and lifted his phone. Back up, sir. I am on private property. I said, back up. I heard you. He did not back up and he did not stop filming. And the video he took that morning is the reason a lot of things happened later. He is also the only person out of maybe 40 who did anything at all. Sir, what is your name and badge number? Wanda asked it from the curb. Clearly, the way you are supposed to. And Clint Kilmer turned his shoulder so the nameplate on his chest faced the traffic instead of her. And he did not answer. She asked again. He walked 6 steps away and stood with his back to her and checked his phone. So she memorized his cruiser number instead. Unit 12 painted on the fender in white. And she said it to herself over and over on that curb until it was carved into her. And 9 days later, she would say it into a microphone without needing to look at a note. Because here is the part that is hard to say out loud. There were people at that bus stop. There were people in cars at the light 3 feet away with their windows up and their faces turned. A woman in a beige coat looked directly at Wanda for a long moment and then looked at her own shoes and kept looking at them until the bus came. Nobody yelled. Nobody asked what she had done. Nobody asked her if she was okay. A person can be surrounded and completely alone at the same time. And Wanda Stalworth found that out at 6:15 on a Tuesday morning in April on a curb 4 miles from her own front door. At 6:22, the flatbed came. The tow operator was a heavy slow-moving man named Otis Scoggins, who had been pulling cars out of ditches in that city for 22 years and had a laminated clipboard and no opinions. He walked the car, wrote down the mileage, wrote down a scuff on the rear bumper, and then opened the passenger door to do the inventory. Because state law says an impounding agency has to inventory the contents of a vehicle it takes. He opened the glove box. It is in there, Wanda said from the curb. The registration, it is in there. That was the 4th time. Otis Scoggins pulled out a folded registration and an insurance card and he read them. And then he stood up and looked over the top of the car at Kilmer with an expression that a lot of people have when they realize the room they are standing in is not the room they thought. Officer, this is registered to a Stalworth. Wanda R. That her there was a pause on the recording that lasts 2.5 seconds. 2.5 seconds is a long time on a body camera. It is long enough for a man to change his entire morning. Does not matter now, Kilmer said, she is already in custody. He walked away from the open glove box. He walked away from it. Scoggins wrote it on the inventory sheet in blue ballpoint. In the box marked contents of glove compartment in handwriting a jury could read from across a room registration. State issue in name of Stalworth Wanda R. Insurance card same name current. Then he held the clipboard out because the officer on scene has to sign the inventory. Clint Kilmer signed it without reading it. He signed the piece of paper that proved she was innocent, 90 minutes before he swore out a complaint that said she was not. And he never looked at what he was signing because by then looking was not something he was doing anymore. They walked her to the back of Unit 12. She had to duck her head and he put his hand on top of it and she felt the flat of his palm on her hair and closed her eyes. Through the cage window, she watched her own car go up onto the flatbed at an angle. The way cars look wrong when they are being taken, the front wheels off the ground. Her air freshener swinging from the mirror. She watched it until it turned onto Old Mill Road and was gone. Her phone was in the property bag. Her mother's pancakes were on the table 9 miles away. It was 6:41 in the morning and Pete Stalworth was pouring a second cup of coffee for a daughter who was